Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Flip That Zoo. My name is Nubu Girl. I of course am going to be walking you through what we've done today. I'm actually rather excited about it. We've really been changing a lot of this zoo up and making it so much better in my opinion. I'm having a lot of fun flipping this zoo from my very first franchise to what it's become today, and I could not be more thrilled. So you'll also notice that our money situation has improved quite a bit because basically I played a little bit off screen and you guys didn't get to see it, but it's the same thing I've been showing you guys, selling exhibit animals. And also I also took in several of the lions and cubs that were basically going to start inbreeding, and instead of just releasing them to the wild, I actually moved them over to one of our empty habitats, and I just purchased a male cub off the sale market since we had so many females, and have just been breeding him with all of our additional females that have been coming into our normal den, and then just selling them to increase our profit and make sure our franchise does not fail while we're renovating and changing things up. Renovations can be costly, so we gotta do what we gotta do to make sure we have good finances. Also, it guarantees our nice, lovely female lionesses a home as they move along, because basically every female that's born into our permanent habitat gets moved over to our temporary habitat for sale for breeding, and then we just kind of start selling off the cubs. You can also kind of change them out and take cubs from one bunch and move them over to the other bunch, and then take the cubs from that bunch, move them over to the other bunch, and you kind of make it to where nobody's inbreeding, and you end up with a lot of extra lions, and it allows you to sell the males basically and keep the females. And then eventually, once the males start getting older, we will move two of the males that have mated, and we'll switch them. Actually, we'll just have to get new males once the other ones get too old, because my brain. Because we always have to have something new, new blood, basically, so they don't inbreed. But it's a good little way to work it all out. I really love the way this habitat has turned out, by the way. I know it's really early on for me to be saying this, but I was so inspired by building this habitat. I really had a lot of fun doing it. I actually got so inspired along the way that we actually kind of bounced over and started making a restaurant, which you'll see here in a minute. Originally, I was going to kind of edit it and stick the restaurant at the end, but then you can kind of see the restaurant as we're building the habitat later on, and they kind of work in conjunction together, so it really didn't behoove me to move the footage around to where the habitat build is with the habitat build, etc., because they work well together, they marry well together. And it actually ends up being really fun. So I feel like this build was a complete blast to do. I'm looking forward to our next habitat. I don't know quite what I'm going to be doing yet. Also, I did have someone mention in comments about one of my other habitats, the tapirs that I built. Are great, except I put them in a walk-through habitat, and the anteaters you can walk through, the tapirs you cannot. So we ended up leaving the anteaters where they are, because I don't want to have to change that entire habitat to a non-walking habitat. And we're going to give the anteaters another mate so that they're not alone in there. And then we're just gonna have to build a whole nother habitat for the tapirs. They need a place to go, so that's gonna have to happen. Thank you to the person who pointed that out to me, because I didn't realize it, because I didn't research it enough, which is my fault. It's all on me. I should have researched. I was kind of wondering why people weren't going into that habitat, and then somebody mentioned it on my comments, and I was like, oh, Yep, I did a dumb. So yeah, so those tapirs will be moving. No worries, they're safely in storage until I can build them a new habitat. Um, they might be one of our upcoming habitats that we do soon, but I'm not quite sure yet. After this one, we're just gonna kind of follow the path. After this habitat, the hippos are right next door. I actually love that habitat. I don't really plan on changing it. I'm gonna look it over just to make sure it's all, clear and looks good. But I did build that later. I didn't build that I didn't build that right when I built my franchise. I built that later on when I was on stream, and I had been playing Planet Zoo for like a few months. So it's actually a pretty decent build. It is very square, or actually rectangle, so there is that going for it, but at the same time, I don't think it's a bad little habitat. I might add some staffing close to the hippos, just so that the Indian peafowl, the hippos, what I'm going to say is going to be probably turtles in that one habitat. We haven't put anything into the walking habitat yet. And the anteaters, we need to put some staffing in there. Now the walkthrough we haven't finished yet, which is right next door to the where we had the bears and the anteaters, is still empty. I put a temporary animal in there as a hold because I couldn't figure out why people weren't walking through it. So that there are some tortoises in there, and I think I'm actually going to run with that and keep tortoises and then just make their habitat prettier, because right now it's a hot mess. I also realize it's rather ginormous for just a couple tortoises, so I might actually make it 2 different walkthroughs and put the turtles all in one area, or maybe just put some rocks down. I don't know. I'm having all kinds of thoughts and ideas on finishing that area. This is part of the restaurant that we were building, you can see, and I was like, how can I make this restaurant still like, the African theme, but make it pretty? And I decided to go with the new African pack, which has a lot of the beautiful mosaics and tiles, and the really colorful just tile work is just gorgeous with this pack. So I decided to run with it and put a tile flooring on the roof of the restaurant, which, now that I know how to use restaurants, by the way, thank you, Mathlete, for teaching me restaurants, because I was having a really hard time with restaurants. Like, I was struggling. It turns out that, number one, there was a glitch happening with it that just would not allow, of course, your employees to basically work there. So if you're having an issue with restaurants and you have it all set up correctly and you can't figure out why it's not working, try firing and rehiring your employee that works at your restaurant. There's a good chance that glitch might be happening. I think Frontier is working on fixing it, or maybe they already have fixed it, but just in case, if you do come across that, it's a workaround, and it only takes 2 seconds to work around it. So it's not that big of a deal once you realize you have that issue. The restaurants, if you have other issues or whatever, please definitely watch the portion where I was building the restaurant. You can kind of see how I built it. Once you kind of understand how the restaurant works, like mentally, it's not that big of a deal. Oh, you can see how I kind of decided to ixnay the big tile pieces. They were driving me bonkers, so I just went with all one solid piece with the diamonds down the middle. I was like, you know what? Making this harder than it needs to be. Simple, done, moving it, go. But this is the top of our restaurant. It looks like a big box right now, but the reason why is because the way the restaurants work is they kind of go in and they purchase stuff, and then they kind of magically morph themselves to wherever your seating is. So you can literally put the seats anywhere you want to. Some people, for realism purposes, add in stairs and stuff like that. I'm not doing that with this build because I just didn't see the reason to do it. I figured the stairs could just be hidden inside. No one's going to be going inside this building to see them, and I figured it was okay. I might add stairs, like a stair railing to the top or something for realistic purposes. But you know what? I don't know. Maybe I'll just leave it like this. Like, it makes it easy. It makes it clean and pretty. I'm not too stressed over it. I'll decide that later. Let me know if you guys are disturbed by it and really would prefer that I put in some faux railing, like some fake stairs that go up into the roofing area. Because right now it's just roofing area. There's no fake stairs or anything. I've contemplated doing it. I don't know if it's necessary, but if it's disturbing you guys, I can look into it. So this is going to be the cafe, and I actually pulled that name from an actual cafe in Africa because I thought it was a cute name. And I put some outdoor seating right up against what's going to be the habitat. But this is the reason why I said I couldn't just move this footage to elsewhere, because you're going to see this part of the cafe right along the habitat, and it would look strange to have the fully built habitat and then no habitat and then flip back and forth. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to leave it as is. This is my ADHD brain at work. You guys are seeing it in real time. You guys know that I just randomly decide to start doing other things. It actually happens to me all the time. I usually just edit that part out. Sometimes I'll be sitting here doing these builds and I'll be like, oh, my other animals need me, and I'll just flip off and start taking care of other animals and doing like animal care and maintenance and selling them and sending them off into the wild. You'll see my money fluctuations happening. If you ever pay attention real close to it, you'll be like, how the hell did she just get $20,000? Where did that come from? Well, that is the little magic in editing videos. You can kind of just remove that so you can't see it, but that's my ADHD brain just going, oh, I need to fix some stuff and do some other things, and then I forget that I'm recording the video and I have to go back and edit that out, and yep. So pathing can be a pain. Like, I think I've mentioned that a million times. So if you ever have a pathing hole that you just can't quite figure out how to put in, stuff like that, stuff like the mosaic tiles that you can just kind of cover it up and make it look like it's on purpose, is great. It just looks like a little mosaic tile artwork right in the middle of basically the waiting area for the restaurant, which makes sense. And then I put a couple little benches there to make it make even more sense versus just a random tile in the middle of the floor. You could also put like planters or flowers or something on top of an overlay like that. So it looks like it's a happy little accident. It's on purpose. It's not like it sticks out like a sore thumb. Instead, it just kind of looks like it all just ties together, and you meant to do that. This, I couldn't quite get the fencing to reach, and I didn't want to add more bricks, so I was like, you know what? Rocks are my savior. This one, I wanted to make sure the crocs could not crawl up on this wall, because I'm pretty sure they could break down that leaf walling that's attached to the Indian peafowl. Plus, I thought it kind of gave a nice little breakup versus just a bunch of dirt. And instead of just adding a bunch of flowers, which is usually my other go-to, I was like, a little rock wall actually, I think, fit it really well. Especially since the crocodiles, do have that rough exterior with the way their skin looks and everything else. I kind of figured it kind of fit. I don't know. It was the way my brain was working, and it worked for me, so I hope you guys like it. Just trying to basically make sure that no two pieces are identically the same, even though sometimes I do use the rocks one after the other. I was looking at all the water creatures, and I ended up going with the crocs because he had really good numbers and he wasn't that expensive. So I was like, you know what, 230, let's go. But yeah, so then I got one croc in, and I know it's one male by himself, but eventually we'll get him a friend, whether it's another male or whether it's females. I think they can have up to 2 males in their group and be kind of cool with it. I would have to look into that. I didn't look at their stats specifically, but I will definitely get him a female friend at some point. I also decided not to fight the path thing too much as far as viewpoints. I wanted to make sure I had a path right in front of the fencing so people could walk over and see it. And I kind of already just knew that I would end up adding some sort of flower piece or centerpiece or something to break that up, and you'll see that here shortly. Didn't want just a bunch of rocks, so I added some really nice water feature plants around the area just to kind of break up the space a little bit. Also, you know, crocs really like the water plants because they typically hide in them or bathe in them or look for food in them. I am not using any underwater feeders currently because every time I've used one in the past month, my game crashes. So for now, I'm not using underwater feeders, although if you ever grab this off of the workshop, I do highly recommend the water feeders if they work for you because they make it, they give a really fun aspect to the game. I'm hoping with this next update that's coming out soon that I cannot wait for. By the way, if you guys have not seen, we're going to have the wetlands pack, which is probably one of the things I'm so excited for it. I might even just be doing an animal from there for our next video, depending on when it comes out. Actually, we probably got like 2 or 3 more videos before that comes out. But when that comes out, we're definitely going to be snagging an animal from there, 100%. So in the wetlands pack, let's see. I know we're getting, I can't ever say their name. Calabras? See, I'm horrible with names. Words, bad. But the one I'm most excited about, the animal that I cannot wait to get, is actually platypuses. And then we're getting some red-crowned crane, which those of you who have been around hanging out in my streams or I probably said it in a few of my videos. I love birds in this game. I think we need more birds. Birds, give me all the birds. I'm actually really hoping that we get some macaws in the game, some blue and red macaws, mainly because I've had a pet macaw pretty much my entire life, and it is one of my favorite animals. Plus, I think they're also one of the most beautiful animals. And I think they would look great in the game. And I think like a bird pack would be really fun, like bring in some macaws and some parrots and maybe some cockatoos. And then they could also bring in, you know, like cages, like bird aviaries where we could keep them. And even do bird shows could be really, really fun. I'm not sure how far Planet Zoo wants to go into this, but that is my idea. I think a bird pack with the ability to have teachers doing a bird show, maybe having a bird on their arm or something, would be really, really fun. And then of course having those birds in an aviary where you have to have like netting and stuff, or the cages. Cages, of course, are for the people who don't want to bother with the netting and have the really complex setups. Me, myself, I would have probably a huge habitat with full-fledged netting and just birds just flying around everywhere. I also think they could probably add butterflies to that as well, because butterflies are really fun to have, and can be really, really pretty inside of a habitat. But yeah, so this specifically what we're looking on right now, like I said, I was going to have some sort of a centerpiece, so I decided just some basic greenery with a little few pops of color, and then of course a statue of a crocodile. And then I started working on the underground tunneling area because it needed to be cleaned up and capped off, because it was just kind of higgledy-piggledy and not finished. Because back then it was just like, oh, it's a cave, let's do a cave. But we all know that you're not gonna just see it's gonna be pretty rare that you just see like a sand cave underneath habitats. So I did make these cleaner, prettier, made them fit better. Yeah, so we are done with our crocs habitat. Let me know what you guys think. I'm excited to continue forward and keep flipping this beautiful zoo. I think it's really turning out well so far. I'm excited for the next adventure. I know I'm gonna also fix some stuff underneath the hippo, so stay tuned for that, and I hope you guys enjoy. I hope you guys liked it. Please subscribe. Thank you so much for coming. Ring that bell. All those really cool YouTube things. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.